Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Namaskar. I have 3 stories to tell you today. One is a trending story, second is a story related to the trending story, and third is a completely separate story. So 3 interesting stories to tell you today. Now let me first start with a serious story. You see, France, Britain and United States wanted Azhar Masood to be on the terror blacklist of the United Nations. They requested the United Nations, "Ke, Baba, listen, this guy is a terrorist. So, and he's a dreaded terrorist, and he is a threat not only to India, but he is a threat to the world. So you please put his name in the terror blacklist." Now, what happens in United Nations, especially the United Nations Security Council, UNSC, is typically all the nations, all the members have to agree to it, especially the members who have got veto powers. China is one of the members that has got veto power. So until and unless China agrees to it, because the country has veto power in United Nations Security Council, this cannot be passed. The request cannot be sanctioned by the Security Council. Now, China used this opportunity and said, "Nahi yaar, we don't want to blacklist this man as yet." They didn't say we don't, they said, "As yet, we don't want to blacklist this man. Let us examine, sochenge. Let us think about it, whether we should blacklist or not." China basically says no for 3 reasons. A, they say China has certain amount of political and business relations, trade relations in the area that he operates in. So that's one reason. The second reason is China wants to appease Pakistan by protecting Masood Azhar, because Masood Azhar is the citizen, the glorious citizen of Pakistan. And the third reason is also that China wants to harm India. By Masood Azhar operating and doing what he is doing, it is harming India. China wants it. So 3 reasons for China to say that let's think about it. Let us examine the facts. We are not going to say yes right away. So Britain, France and America's request was not accepted. This was in United Nations. This happened in Geneva. Now let us come to that Geneva decision's impact in India. Our friend Mr. Rahul Gandhi, the president of Indian National Congress, tweeted. He said, "Weak Modi is scared of Z. Not a word comes out of his mouth when China acts against India. Namos China diplomacy. 1. Swing with Z in Gujarat. 2. Hug in Delhi. 3. Bow to Z in China." So he did a sarky tweet saying that yaar, Modi se kuch ho nahi raha hai. He is scared of Z. Now to that, obviously, and as predicted, BJP reacted. But BJP went a few decades or possibly a century back and said, "You know what?" They said, "See, China wouldn't be in UNSC, like I said, United Nations Security Council, had your great-grandfather not gifted it to them at India's cost. India is undoing all mistakes of your family. Be assured that India will win the fight against terror. Leave it to PM Modi while you keep cozying up with the Chinese envoys secretly." So, the BJP also gave a befitting reply. But not talking about Congress or not talking about Rahul Gandhi or not talking about even Manmohan Singh, they went right back to Nehru. Now the irony is, today Nehru is trending in Twitter. Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, is trending in Twitter today. So that's it. And believe me, BJP has done it a lot more time than once. So it's not something that is it's not a surprise thing, but all the same. Now, this brings us to the next part of our editorial. See, first of all, what BJP is talking about is there is a general understanding that India was offered the UNSC seat, United Nations Security Council seat, by the United Nations. India was offered. India was also offered the veto power with that. So possibly it wouldn't have been China, but India sitting in the United Nations Security Council. But it was said that Jawaharlal Nehru, our first Prime Minister, he decided, no, I don't want to sit in the Security Council and gave it away to China. This is the general understanding or the general story that is spread. Now, the next interesting part of my editorial is there was an article in First Post a few days back which says, you know what? Nehru never gave this back. Nehru never ever gave the offer of being part of the United Nations Security Council back. It is a myth. Now let me read out to you what exactly happened. On the 27th of September 1955, Dr. J.N. Parekh asked Nehru, he was a member of the parliament, asked Nehru, ke bhai, did you give this back? Did you give the veto power, the offer to be part of the United Nations Security Council back? To which Nehru said, and I quote, there has been no offer, formal or informal, of this kind. Some vague references have appeared in the press about it, which has no foundation in fact. The composition of Security Council is prescribed by the UN Charter, according to which certain specified nations have permanent seats. No changes or additions can be made to this without an amendment of the Charter. There is, therefore, no question of a seat being offered and India declining it. Our declared policy is to support the admission of all nations qualified for UN membership. He said, listen, we were never offered this seat. Nobody came and offered us the seat. They said there is a UN Charter and the UN Charter decides which country is qualified and which country is not. Our stance is very clear. Whoever country is qualified can come and be part of can be a permanent member of United Nations Security Council, which also gives that particular country veto powers. He said, I will not interfere. I have not said don't give it to this country or don't give it to that country, because that is not the policy of India. But the fact remains that while that is said, we were never given the offer to be the permanent member of the UN Security Council. So what are you talking about? This is just a figment of somebody's imagination. So even those days there were fake news, and he said this is one of it. So this is a fact that has come out. So this general understanding that Nehru was the person who said, no, I don't want to be part of a United Nations General Security Council and all, he says this is not correct according to First Post, and they actually narrate this. They actually has even printed what Nehru actually said in the parliament. So that is absolutely incorrect. Now, this entire talk that everything that is happening around us, putting it on Nehru's doorstep, now seems to be a little funny actually. It seems to be a little funny. So, I think it is time that we start owning up our own problems, owning up our own responsibility and taking corrective measures. And if we fail, let us rather say that we failed rather than saying that 100 years back, no, that Nehru did that, or that is why we are having this problem. I think we should stop doing it. Okay. Let me go to the next. The next one is very interesting actually. It's a small one. There is a gentleman called Amit Mir. Amit Mir actually is a very famous Pakistani journalist. See, I am not trying to make fun of him or something. I don't want to get into any mudslinging here. But all the same, Amit Mir in an article says, it's very easy to understand why China blocked resolution against Masood Azhar in UNSC, that is United Nations Security Council. He says, India is sheltering an enemy of China since decade and his name is Dalai Lama. The reason I thought I should mention this is look at where we are going and look at where media is taking us. This fellow, Hamid Mir, is comparing Dalai Lama to Masood Azhar. Does he even know the difference between the two? I mean, what is he talking about? So, well, I just thought I should get this to your notice. Now, the second part of like I told you, an unrelated topic that I want to discuss before I close the day is, you see, the Election Commission has issued a statement, has issued an order to all the astrologers, raste mein jo, people who sit with astrology, that you cannot show the hand. You can't show the hand ka symbol. Okay, because he said, hand ka symbol, matlab you will be marketing Congress. No, Congress side. So he said, nothing doing. Oh, hand symbol and all you can't put. You have to take all symbol out. So ironically, they say that these guys are now going around, sticking posters to all the astrological, these guys who sits on the road and all with their hand, they're putting posters on top of it so that it is covered, so that the hand symbol doesn't arise. So that was the logic in Karnataka. So when this happened in Karnataka, our friends in Andhra Pradesh said, "Arey yaar, ye kya baat hui?" So they said, all government offices in Andhra Pradesh, they said, you remove fan, Baba. Fan to has to be removed. Why? Because if you see fan in your office, it is a symbol of YSRCP, that is YSR Congress Party. Then it is, people will vote for YSR Congress Party. So Baba, government, remove all the fans. So this is what is happening in Andhra Pradesh. TDP said nothing doing, fan nikalo. Now I wonder what will happen in Tamil Nadu. You know why? Because the symbol of DMK is sun. So now I am just waiting for AIDMK and others to say that Baba, sun has to be banned from Tamil Nadu. Sun ko band karo Baba. Sun coming, people will vote for DMK. Very interesting beginning to the election.